I'm really looking forward to getting into the industry. I've heard that there's a lot of money to be made, and
You want to get paid? That's it.
I think I can make some money. I think I could be good for this.
You know what you want. You know what you got to do to get paid, right?
Uh,
You got to be on the real Randy Chavez show. Love how it says love in the background. Also, that makes it even better. Hey guys, how's it going? Is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you with the coin wizard, Foster Hilt. Everyone say, "Where's Dashy? Where's Dashy?" Oh, Dashy's at home protecting the house. So we had a little bit of news today. Start off with that. Start with the breaking news first of the AF-15.
big,
Yeah,
big deal for sure.
that was So for me, I don't want to say I've heard some mixed reviews. I have. Like most of it has been positive,
Yes.
but the I'll start with the positive stuff first. We've had people like VeVe
Yep.
who's gone on and said, "Hey, I have like 117,000 gems, and apparently going to use all of it to buy every secret rare under 10,000."
Yes, sir.
Now, how many will go under 10,000? What's your take? Are new people? Do they not know what that is?
Well, and this is the thing, right? I mean, the comic itself is so exciting, and I think it's been hyped up by the community for so long that I think it was always going to come out of the gate strong. But now that we're receiving this confirmation that it appears to be an extremely limited edition run, and we're probably looking at somewhere around 10,000 editions total, I think when you consider the fact that it's 1/6 of the total editions of Marvel Comics #1, which is really its direct rival, probably on the platform currently,
Oh.
I think that we could see some pretty surreal price action, especially when you consider that there may only be 250 secret rares. So
Yeah. So if we're going and we're taking, okay, about 1/6, right? Because MC1 was 60K.
60K total, yeah.
All right. So let's just go by popularity.
Yep.
If it was the same, which we know it's not, they are very similar, but if it was the same popularity-wise and price-wise, then you would expect it at 1/6 the price to be about 6x what MC #1 is.
Yeah. Well, at very least, yes, based on the total edition run, or even let's say 250 editions versus the 500 secret rares that exist. It's anywhere between a 2 and a 6x of what it is currently with the MC1 is what, just based on math, you would expect. Now, I think that Marvel Comics #1 has had the opportunity to have certain people shaken out of it that maybe have held it for a while. They've already seen that run up. It went all the way up to $100,000. People that were going to take profits likely already did so. So I think when it comes to AF-15 with the secret rare, I think you will still see people flipping on drop day because it will still be life-changing money for a lot of people. And I think on top of that, you're also going to see it run up, and then we're likely going to see a pullback as well, which is very common in any marketplace. So to say where it's going to settle at the end of the first day is going to be tough. But as you mentioned, with people like VeVe and other whales that have been sitting on the wayside, and people I'm sure that have been selling leading up to this announcement, and now that this announcement is confirmed, more people selling further, it'll be pretty crazy to see what kind of price action we may see in the first couple hours or so.
But just because it's 1/6 of the editions, that I don't think that translates 100% to being 1/6 the secret rare.
No, exactly. So it'll probably be
How many
50%. It'll probably be 50%. It'll probably be 250 instead of 500.
Yeah.
And then, of course, some of them are going to be held back as well. Like, I'm not sure how they're going to divide it, but at the end of the day, it's definitely going to be very valuable and likely more valuable just based on the edition count. Now, why they chose to make it such an exclusive edition run, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know personally that I agree with the decision, but then again, who am I, right? But I don't know that this was necessarily a thing. I would have liked to see this being something that was accessible to a lot of users on the platform. I could see this as a catalyst to onboarding new users onto the platform, but I fail to see how we're going to get a ton of new people coming in when it's so exclusive that the average person is just not going to have access to it anyways. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I do hope that it is somewhat more expensive to purchase at the beginning. I'm hoping that it's at least, the Star Wars of $15, if not even more.
Yeah.
I think for something that has this level of demand and real world value, that you can justify that additional price point, especially with less editions. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if they have I mean, one of the things that they might have thought of, this might not be their driving factor behind only having 10,000 editions, but typically ones with this type of thing, maybe like Kang or Hitmonkey, there aren't grails in the
For sure.
But nothing has happened like this where we've had a grail with this limited amount. I mean, maybe you can make the argument, like Secret Rare Spider-Man only has 1,000 editions.
True.
But I think this would be a good hype piece for them to say, like what better way to get some marketing out there? Be like, hey, you paid, even if you pay $50 for this, and you hit a Secret Rare, and suddenly you 100x your money minimum, probably 200xing, going to 10K.
True.
But 100xing minimum up to 5K. It's like, where else can you do that? And it's not like you're spending $7 to do it. You have to spend $50, and you're still 100xing.
Yeah. Well, you know what I will say is this will be one of the few drops that we've seen recently where, within a realm of not financial advice or any guarantees, if you are successful in landing it on the drop, I think you'll do handsomely for yourself, whether it's a common all the way through Secret Rare. I see this piece being extremely valuable and one that will definitely be sought after for quite a while. So I'm really just hoping at this point that I'm lucky enough to secure one. If it's a good rarity or whatever, then great. But I think, with some of the numbers that we've seen coming out recently with the amount of active users and stuff, I think that this is almost a reward to the people that have stuck with the community and kind of battled through some of the negative overall sentiment that we've experienced, the downturn in kind of the price values and things like that. So, I don't know if that played a part in their decision to make it a lower run either, but I do kind of see it as, being here with them through this is being rewarded through it, similarly to being here last July when they dropped Marvel Comics #1. If you were with them at that time, mind you, it was a higher edition run, but it was a reward. It was, you're going to buy this, and sure, it went for $2 in the secondary market afterwards, but we saw how that turned out, right? Yeah. So I don't think people are going to make that same mistake twice.
No, definitely. I mean, they haven't since. Ever since then, and finally people's like, oh, wait, these are actually, people are really going to be willing to buy these.
Yeah.
Hey, Puddin' Cheeks, what's going on? Puddin' Cheeks, as a man of many talents, man of many mysteries, he's so mysterious, man.
He is. He's a mysterious man. He is the puddin'. I mean, he's got delicious flavors, and you just want to eat him up and just experience the whole thing. Guys, we didn't have dessert with dinner, so I got food on the brain still. But yeah, he's a legend, and shout out to his burn sheet that he's created for the community. There's a lot of people that add a lot of value, but that specifically is something that I've referenced in a lot of my videos. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you go check out his Twitter, and you'll see that. You'll see the amount of gems that are purchased on the platform every single day, roughly the amount of expenditures that have taken place as well, and it just gives you a really good idea of the state of the market and kind of gives you some ideas of why certain things may be certain ways. So definitely valuable, and definitely glad to see him a part of the community and hanging out in the chat along with the other 77 of you. Thank you for stopping by and hanging out with us. First IRL stream with the one, the only, the real Randy Chavez. Happy to have met him. I'm glad we're doing this on night 2 and not night 1. I may have had to get a couple jitters out of the way first, but it's been good times. Yeah. It's been good times.
I was just looking at Puddin's burn sheet, and we're less than 1 billion away from having 69 billion OMI burn from that reserve.
Can I get a nice?
Come on, nice down below, 69. So you ever watch that episode of Fairly Odd Parents where they're in like a video game world, and Timmy's like Aunt Gertrude comes to visit? She's like, let me pinch those chubby cheeks of yours. It's like, I hope she means my face. I wonder, is Puddin' Cheeks, is he referencing his face, or is he referencing...
Oh, well, I mean, this is a PG-13 stream, so I guess we'll say face. I don't want you getting demonetized here. I don't know how that works, but...
So, obviously, a quick flip of, again, minimum 100x. Let's say we can sell it for 10K, even though let's say you net 9K out of it? Or maybe 8,500 after you cash out. And
yeah, so I mean, let's say you spend $7 and you're able to sell the Secret Rare for $10,000. You pay 8.5% as a fee when you're selling to the secondary marketplace, so you're left with about $91.50. After that $91.50, let's say you want to cash out that entire amount, you're paying anywhere between 10 and 11% of that. So when all is said and done, you're probably getting close to $8,100 out in your bank account on a $7 kind of free roll, really. Because if you're lucky enough to get it, you're going to probably make money on any edition rarities.
So question: do you think it would be more beneficial to do that and buy OMI, or waiting until we get like crypto to NFT to let a bunch of these whales come in and then suddenly you get, you 3x your money like right away. If assuming it goes to 30K, which
and this is
assuming everything goes.
Yeah, and this really comes down to a great concept in investing when we talk about the law of diminishing returns, right? So if you buy something for, let's say, $7 or $10 for easy math's sake, and it goes up to $1,000, well, now you've 100x your investment. But in order to 100x your investment from its initial 100x, it now needs to go up to $100,000, which can be a lot more difficult once it's already had that kind of initial run up. So we've seen it similarly with OMI already, where it went up 20,000% in 2021, and then we obviously saw it pull back a little bit here with the overall crypto market, and has kind of found its range that it's settling in right now. But I think for me, not being a native collector myself, even though you did try and convert me by taking me to Nintendo World there yesterday, I think for me, if I was able to land the comic, and let's say I already have an okay collection on VeVe, but OMI is maybe something that I haven't had the opportunity to jump in on, I think at these prices, I'm probably selling the comic and transferring it into OMI, because I think, I don't know what range we're at in OMI. I haven't checked in the last couple of days, but let's say we're at 0.0015. I think in 3 to 5 years, the likelihood of only 100xing and going up to, let's say, 15 cents versus your comic book going up another 100x and going to $1 million or whatever, I think the likelihood is better with OMI. And I think something that we're noticing as well, and I think something that all of you in the chat, or if you're watching this back afterwards, should keep in mind is that we're seeing it right now where a drop comes out and then everyone tries to liquidate something at the same time. Because they're like, oh my God, I need liquidity to be able to do this. But the problem comes where you don't have fractional ownership of this collectible. You own this collectible outright. But if your collectible is worth $10,000, but no one is willing to spend $10,000 to buy it off of you, then is your collectible really worth what it's listed for the floor? I've put things up on the floor before that haven't sold. So even the floor is something. It's not really the true value of something. It's just no one else is selling it right now, but no one's buying at this level either. So I think that that's something that people need to keep in mind, is that the OMI, especially once it's listed on major exchanges, will have the liquidity that some Grail collectibles will not. So as a perfect example, because I can use this because I own them, I own 3 Walt statues. And as much as I would like to see Walt go to 100K, which I do believe it could hit at some point, who is then buying my Walt from me for $100,000, right? I need to find that right person who has that liquidity that's in the space that wants to do it. Whereas with OMI, I can just put up a sell wall at 3 cents, let's say we're up at that range, right? And then I just let the liquidity of, I think we capped, the highest that we've ever been was April 2021. We had $121 million in 24-hour trading volume on OMI in April of 2021.
So we had the Bitcoin pairing, right?
Yeah, so and I just feel like with something like that, you really have a justification of you're going to get it sold eventually, it's going to happen. Yeah. Whereas I think with collectibles, people just ruthlessly undercut one another until someone's willing to buy something. But if you had originally listed it for $100,000, someone may not buy it from you until it hits 50. And at that point, you were better just to have the OMI at that point because it's more liquid. You could sell 10, 20, 30, 50% of it and still have extras. Whereas if I have a collectible that's worth $100,000, I either have a $100,000 collectible or I don't have a collectible. Whereas with $100,000 in OMI, I could have $100,000 in OMI that I then spend 50% of on VeVe, and then I still have $50,000 worth of OMI, but I have that extra liquidity. So
before I get to my next point, if everyone can smash that like button, that is a free way to help support the channel. You see that video game, the bet where the cat, you play as a cat, it's called like Stray or something? I totally want to play that. Anyway, so let's do the math on that. Where out of the 250 comics, what would they keep? 10% of them? So let's say they keep 25?
Generally, yeah. Well, so sometimes they keep it. So I don't know how they did it with the 10K edition runs, but with the 60K edition runs, they've kept 100. So there was 600 minted and they kept 100. So maybe someone comment in the chat if you guys know how many do they generally keep, like for the Kang drop?
So it's like 17% almost.
Yeah, because it wasn't 100, I don't think. It was less than that. So if you guys know in the chat, let us know like how many they capped. But let's say it is 25, and then there's only 225 available.
So if we go, because obviously mistakes will be made. You're going to have people that are going to think that they're selling it for $10,000, but they're selling it for $100, and And I know those people will probably just flip anyway, like, oh, free 5,000, you know, $8,000, whatever.
Yeah.
But we have, like I said, Sona VeVe, who actually let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that. I don't exactly remember how much he had.
It was like 117,000, I think, give or take a few pennies. But I think once you're up at that level, I don't know if anyone's keeping track anymore. But
okay, here it is. All right, so Sona VeVe says, you guys are competing against me and other people with 100,000 plus gems. All supply is mine. So it's 119.3 thousand. And what we have is, I don't know if Sona VeVe will use all of it. But
it wouldn't surprise me,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I think he's someone who's been collecting for a while and understands the value of specifically grails.
And he sold at the top.
He sold at the top. He's very smart. And I think if he's saying that he's going to do something, he's not the type of person that's going to say it and then do the opposite. Like, if he's telling you that he's buying any of them that are under $10,000, he's going to buy until he's out of money. So that wouldn't surprise me.
So let's say he gets it for average of 9,500.
Okay.
So we have 119.3 divided by 9,500. So you can get 12.5. So figure he gets 12. Maybe he gets lucky and gets 13. But we'll be conservative and say he gets 12. Out of the 225, that's 5%. That's just gone, just like that. And how many other people are like him? Like, I don't know. Like,
I can tell you I'm not like him. I wish I was, but...
So that's the... or we'll count you as and other people like us like a super fan.
Yeah.
But there's people in that 100K range that would say get... I mean, I think Henry Pacquiao might get like 1 or 2. I feel like some of these people might get 1 or 2. Because 100K for that, I feel like not a ton of people can do. Like maybe not.
Well, I was gonna say. I mean, we have the Dr. Profits and the Ray Fixies of the world that, you know, conceivably within reason have almost unlimited access to funds. So it's really how hard they want to go on it and for how long they're going to do so. I know in previous drops these whales have swept, you know, up to X price all the collectibles that were being listed, and anything that was listed lower they were still buying. So. It's definitely possible that we could see super fans looking to add liquidity onto the platform. I will be interested to see put in a cheek spreadsheet and see over the next 24 hours or so whether we're getting additional liquidity added onto the platform. I saw Caro, who's a whale in the community, he was messaging on Twitter earlier today looking to see if the team could help him get more liquidity added onto the platform because he was struggling to get enough funds on to be ready for the drop. So. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm sitting at about 6K, and I'm starting to think at this point that I probably won't even be able to secure one, which I was hoping to do.
It's possible you get lucky.
It's possible I'll get lucky, and I'll have a quick finger with someone that lists, you know, around that range. But at this point, I think I'm probably stuck going for commons, which I still think are going to do very well based on the edition run. But
same. What do you know the verbiage that was used when we had Amazing Spider-Man 252 come out, and they only had like 1,000 of those? Because it wasn't super limited. It was a different...
No, it was like extremely super limited, super califragilistic. It was something that was like, yeah, like you knew there was none of them. But I think in this one, I think I saw, I think it was, oh my gosh, who was it? It was someone who I'll find their name in a moment. Posted that every other drop that's happened that's had 10,000 additions has had the exact same verbiage as what we've seen right now. So, So whoever you were, that's a good find. I think that's worth noting, right? That the exact same wording that they've used for every other 10K drop is the wording that they used for this one. So I think it's relatively safe to assume based on that we're going to be seeing a 10K drop. What the price is of those collectibles, people are speculating. I don't think it'll be $7. I think they'd be absolutely crazy to do that. I think it'll be anywhere between $15 and $60. I could see 15 making sense because it's Amazing Fantasy 15.
And the 60th anniversary.
And it's a 60th anniversary. Selfishly, I hope they make it $60 because, you know, I'll still keep buying them. But yeah,
that'd be good. I don't know if there's how many people would price out when it goes to 60, like, or if it does.
I mean, I would say 9 out of 10 people, if you're on the collectibles platform, like $60 is probably not going to price you out of I mean, it may be more than you're willing to spend, and that's perfectly acceptable, but I don't think it's going to price anyone out. Like, I don't think you're on the platform, putting the time, money, and effort in if $60 is like, I can't afford to do this. Like, it's probably not for you to begin with. I believe that there should be a balance between accessibility and, profitability and everything that VeVe has going on. But I think for something like this, like this just isn't another comic book drop, similarly to how the Star Wars comic wasn't just another comic drop. And I think that VeVe has shown through the value that a lot of these comics have had over a period of time that they can justify, and I'm not saying $100 or anything crazy, but even the $15 price tag I think would be very justifiable in this instance.
So what about there's a couple of other strategies people have here. Going and saying, hey, because I might not even get the drop. And I mean, I think there's going to be some FOMO early on. I don't know where it goes, like the first hour, the first day, that people get. But what do you think about the strategy where people go and they say, hey, I'm just going to try and skip it. I go for the drop, sure. I'll try to get it. But if I miss it on the drop, I'm not going to try on the secondary, because maybe there's a chance that after that happens and people that don't get it, all of their gems start flooding into everything else again. So getting like Vader, or getting not Jango Fett, Boba Fett, or getting like Fantastic Four number 5. What are your thoughts on that strategy of buying everything else now and just saying, heck, they have 15. I'll play the things that are safe.
I mean, it's not a terrible strategy. I mean, for those of you guys that have been following my adventure for a while, you'll know that I don't always tend to make the best decisions when it comes to VeVe collectibles. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But I think that there's a lot of merit to that. So
somebody just posted on the VeVe feed, find someone who looks at you the same way Randy looks at Foster.
Oh, that's cute.
How dare you?
That's cute. Oh, Randy.
That's amazing.
I think there's some merit to that. I think that there's a lot of collectibles that I don't like using the word like undervalued and overvalued, because then everyone just gets upset and pissy. But I would say that there are collectibles that we've seen a lot higher that I think fundamentally could be higher valued, that it may make sense to put money into those. I know for me, one of the things that I've been struggling with is I still believe that Walt is going to be a top 3 collectible on the platform for a really long time. Yeah. And so for me, looking at the price of a Walt right now, having seen it go up to $50,000 previously, and knowing that people were buying at that level, and to be clear, because people will say, yeah, but it was people buying gems at 0.5, like it wasn't real or whatever. Okay, granted, that's still $25,000.
Yeah,
and right now it's at $5,000.
But also, how do you get those gems out? You have to sell it for that amount.
Well, and that's it.
So that $50K is also like, you could, if you decide, oh, this is $50,000, you could only cash it out and get 25.
Yeah.
So you might as well spend the $50K.
Well, and that's it. So I mean, even if you say that it could go up to 25 or 30,000 again, which I think is very reasonable in the next 6 to 12 months, especially once utility and interoperability comes for the collectibles. I think that may be something that you want to look at, right? Like, does if you get an Amazing Fantasy 15 for $10,000, is it equally likely to 5 or 10x more so than another collectible that is available and is coming right now? So Boba Fett being $200, it's super cheap. I'll be honest, I still haven't bought my ultra rare yet, because I FOMO'd in on the drop, bought 5 blind boxes, got 3 commons, 2 rares. Didn't get a single ultra rare, and I've been waiting for a while to pick it up, and I finally think I'll probably pull the trigger at some point in the next little while. But it's really interesting to see some of these undervalued collectibles. I think Todd was down at 1.3K, 1.2K. Vader was down at 1.2, 1.3K. Walt went all the way down to 4.9K. Our buddy that's in New York with us right now, Mike, he bought a Walt. He's thinking about buying a second Walt. Like,
say hi, Mike. Right. Guys.
I think that there's a lot of value to a lot of these collectibles, and I don't want to push anyone in any specific direction. I think, do your own research, look at the previous prices of something that maybe you've been looking at for a while that speaks or resonates to you, that you've always wanted to pick up and haven't had the opportunity to as of yet. And, maybe you look at that if the comic doesn't resonate with you. I know some people that they don't care about comics. It doesn't matter how valuable this comic might end up being. They're just not comic people. Yeah. But this gives you a great opportunity if you're in the markets right now and you have the liquidity available to pick up stuff at extremely discounted rates that may continue if we don't get a lot of news and catalysts to pump VeVe. But at the same time, based on where things have already been relative to where they could go, I think on the balance of probabilities, this is a very good entry point for most things that you likely would be looking to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, and you could flip all the live long day and you can make money. It is a grind though. Before I make my next point, I'll shout out to Fun Under the Sun, saying you two are awesome. OMI to the moon.
To the moon.
To the moon. I love this game. I love this game. So,
let's play a game.
What are the other things? We should go to a haunted house.
Oh yeah.
Kids get drunk, go to a haunted house. So one of the other things is playing the long game. Like, you ever see that meme where who's like the prince and princess of England? Prince Charles and Prince Harry. What was his wife's name?
Prince Charles.
Harry.
Queen Elizabeth.
No. The prince. Like
the princess.
The kids.
You're
Meghan,
talking about
right?
Meghan Markle.
Yeah. So.
To any of the Brits in the chat, we apologize. We're sorry. We're not cultured that way.
So. Americans are not. They're notoriously uncultured. But there's a meme that said when she was pregnant, she had her kid in America. So the kid was an American citizen. So that kid could be president one day. And the meme was like, they're playing the long game. Because they would, be president, try to annex themselves to Europe or whatever. So I think in the long game, where you have companies, I think it's CPF, that Singaporean company, that's basically the...
Oh, is that the hedge fund?
Yeah.
Is that the name of the hedge fund? Okay.
That, I think like 3 days after VCon, their Supreme Court had gone on and said, hey, you can now buy NFTs as assets.
Oh.
And they came out and says, yeah, we'll buy the boring, stocks and bonds and whatever, but they're also going to buy NFTs.
Okay.
And if I was one of the people, and my job was to sell NFTs to like someone in their 50s or 60s,
yep,
I'm going to say like, hey, it's going to be a lot easier for me to sell them the first Mickey Mouse on the blockchain, as opposed to a pixelated Bored Ape, which nobody knows what the fudge that is.
100%.
But people know the first appearance of Spider-Man. They know Spider-Man. So I think in the long game, when you have 225 of these, after people, after they hold some back, just with those types of hedge funds alone, they're going to buy that. Not including the individual whales that we all know and love today already, but those are the types of things that they would buy and they just hold, because it would take like, not including DAOs. People like, yeah, let's all put in like $100.
That honestly, that's a great point and something that should be mentioned. I mean, you look at companies like Visa investing in CryptoPunks. I mean, that's one of 10,000 they've purchased, which is a 1/100th of 1%. Whereas you look at this comic that only has a 225 edition run, and if someone is to buy one, that's like almost half of 1%. So I mean, it really, like you said, with and collectibles like this, and to be clear, like not every collectible that has low editions is automatically going to be valuable, right? Like we saw today, the artist drops came out and people were taking 600 collectible editions and selling them for half of what they picked them up for. Like it's editions in and of themselves don't make something valuable, but when you add in the IP
and the physical sales
of
2.4 million for a 9.2,
yep,
is heckin' ridiculous. Thank you, Parkese Music, for the super chat. So, and that's the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. There is such a big discrepancy. There's such a big messed up ratio between the physical collectibles and the digital collectibles versus the physical and digital comics. Because the physical collectibles, we're going for like 1/10 of the price. Like, let's say like a Todd. What is that? Like $1,000 for a physical?
So a physical first edition Todd is like $500 maybe right now.
Oh my god! And that was up to. The digital was up to 14,000.
14,000, yeah.
So that's like all right, so what was that? Was that 10x would be 5,000? So that's like a 30x. Almost a 30x.
Yeah.
And you look at comics and they're like a fraction, the digital comics are a fraction of what they are in real life. So if we were to do like 30x of the real price, that's a $60 million digital collectible. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But, I mean, where does that go? Does it become 1/30th the price?
Gosh, and this is the thing, right? So I've always had this belief system that digital collectibles are valuable because history has made them valuable, because people have held them for a really long time. But you're someone who collected physical Pokemon cards, so you can probably attest to this better than a lot of people. But if you own a PSA 10 Shadowless Charizard, unless you're Logan Paul, who's wearing it on his person out to WrestleMania, who is seeing this item that you own, right? No one really. Like, maybe you're taking a picture of the physical, sure, but it's in your house. And who is seeing it in your house? A couple friends and family that you're inviting over. Whereas the digital component of NFTs and being able to determine immutable ownership on a public ledger or blockchain really opens the doors for social media personalities, influencers, famous actors and actresses, sporting people, just all of these individuals who can now tie their social identity online to an item that has value. And a lot of these items that are going to have the most value are going to be the ones that are tied to actual IP. Now, in the case of Bored Apes as an example, the people that are purchasing them being able to own the IP rights is what makes them valuable. Bored Apes in and of itself is an IP. It's not just a JPEG on the internet. They've been able to monetize that in an effective way. But you look at Disney, who's been around forever, you look at Marvel and DC and all of these other companies, if you're able to monetize that IP and have it related to, and people have teased, someone like Cristiano Ronaldo having a Todd as his profile picture. Like, the value proposition behind that, and when you think about the fact that there's only 1,000 secret rare Spider-Mans, that's a very exclusive club when you talk about DAOs and investment groups and companies investing into these. So it's very interesting when you start to look at it. I don't know that the adoption of NFTs or digital collectibles is at that point yet, where we could say kind of comfortably that, hey, we're there and we're going to make it there conclusively. But I think that as the metaverse becomes a play, and as interoperability and utility comes from those collectibles, assuming that those blend together in a seamless way, and the mainstream media and personalities start to accept these collectibles as a part of their identities, we've seen it already with them changing their profile pictures, I think that it could add a significant amount of value, not to all collectibles, because not all collectibles will be valuable, but to the collectibles that are, it will be an incredible boost.
You're saying Toby is not going to be very valuable? Say my man Toby's not going to be out there?
I think Toby has probably hit some of the highest sales on the platform, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to say anything about Toby. But
could you imagine if somebody comes in not knowing what the fudge that was for, and they're like, these sales don't make any sense. I'm going to buy a bunch of them. Then we go out there.
Oh no, are you saying pull a poolside? Oh, shout out to poolside.
Shout out to poolside.
We love you.
Refuses to come on the podcast. Okay. It's only because he's too awesome. Too awesome to be on the podcast.
Poolside, come on the podcast. Randy's he's a harmless guy. He's awesome.
Thanks, man.
He's awesome.
So I think DAOs are going to be a big thing for a lot of these big ticket items, and I think there's going to be a lot of seller's remorse. Where not now, they'd be like, listen, I paid $50 for this, and I made 10,000.
Yep.
200x the money. But I think there will also be people that will sell it for 10,000. And again, let's say it's 1/30th. Go in the opposite way. If the digital collectibles are 30x or have been 30x the price of their physical counterparts, then maybe the digital comics on the opposite end could be 1/30th the price of the physical comics, which would make this particular one, which would make it about $66,000. And that's right now. That's with, not including, like I said, DAOs. Like, you have Cristiano Ronaldo, you just said, he's got 474 million people on Instagram, which is nuts. But let's say half of those are bots, which there's definitely not 200 million bots, but let's say there are.
Yeah.
Let's say he's down to 200 million followers. What 1% of that is 200,000 people. It just takes 1% of your super fans to go and
1% is 2 million.
200 million. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's a lot of people.
God, yeah,
it's a lot of people. No, it's really interesting when you start. And this is the problem, right? You play the what if game forever, and all you guys know this in the chat, right? We love to speculate, we love to get excited about these things. I think what's important to kind of keep in mind rationally is that it is 100% going to be valuable to hold a collectible like this. What your individual goals are and what you choose to do with it is entirely up to you. For me, if I can get one under $6,000, I'm going to pick one up. Not because I don't think it's worth more than $6,000, but I only have $6,000 to purchase. So that's kind of where I'm at with things. But it could be a very exclusive group, and I think it will have a lot of value. So for those of you that are fortunate enough to pick it up, especially if you landed on drop, make that value proposition, cost benefit analysis for yourself. Do you need that liquidity right now, or would you like to hold on to it? Because this could be one of those collectibles, similarly to how Walt did it back in November, where it starts at a certain price and you may be waiting for it to come back down, and then it never does. Now, I guess that's a terrible example because Walt is down this week, but it's just something to be mindful of. You got to pick a number that you're comfortable with and make that decision for yourself, and don't regret and look back on it. I feel the same way now about selling Secret Rare Spider-Man for what I did last year, 6 months ago, as I do now. Obviously, it's far more attainable if I wanted to pick it back up now than when it was $100,000. But at the same time, you make a decision, you just got to live your best life with it and put the best foot forward. So I think for this collectible, it'll be a good pickup, but I don't want it to be the only thing that you guys focus on. Like I said, there's a lot of other good things that you could be picking up if you have funds accessible to you. So just decide what it is that you're looking to collect. And remember, at the end of the day, whether you make money on it or not, you just have to be comfortable with the decision that you're making. I've bought things for much more than they're worth right now. I bought a Nightwing for $3,300, and Nightwing's $500 right now. So, that one hurt. Whereas I bought other things, at the bottom that are definitely more expensive than they are now. So, you win some, you lose some, but you just gotta kind of make the best decision you can with the information you have available to you, and then roll the dice and hope it works out for you. So
yeah, I'm very curious to see how flippers handle this. I mean, again, you have that grind where they'll buy, buy at X and
Yep.
they'll sell at Y. But there's something that is known as like a squeeze. Well, I mean, we see gem squeezes all the time, but but in the opposite way, like it happened with Pokemon cards. Let's say wind the clocks back 10 years ago. It was not sexy to buy and sell Pokemon cards. Like it was not.
yeah,
Even as like early 2010s, it wasn't. But then in 2016, when Pokemon Go came out, and it was like, oh, this is really cool. So all the collectors that have been hodling for X amount of years saw a nice increase in their stuff, because some people that were in for a while, they sold, but a lot of other people like, no, now everyone's getting it's popular. I want to show this off. Let's buy more. And then it went down for a little bit for a couple of years, and like 2017, 2018 went way down, and then 2020, everyone's getting those government checks, goes up again, and again, a lot of people, there's such a limited supply, and let's just say Charizard. Charizard, you have 124 first edition PSA 10s.
yeah,
And, if you don't, that's the best of the best, but you don't have to buy that. You can pay like a tenth of the price for a PSA 9. And then another, cut that in half for a PSA 8. And keep cutting in half for 7. And that's not including the Shadowless. And that's not including Unlimited. Unlimited, there's like 30,000 Charizards. There's like 30,000 of those just on the Unlimited that you can buy. And those are the ones that are just graded, not the ones that are raw.
wow,
So I think that when some of these don't have that, like, again, the entire supply run of this is only going to be 10,000. So when you're talking about something that's just, 225 of them, I could see probably 6 figures. And this one, OMI, like, this one you can't have any, there's no way to get crypto in. I think one of Ray Fixie's biggest complaints is that he can't get crypto in. Like, how many other people just right now, when crypto's at its lowest, would love to go in and start buying all this stuff? Probably a bunch.
100%.
Because if you're, let's say, like 90% crypto and you're only 10% NFT and you want to diversify a little bit, and then when stuff going back up, like I know myself, I told you that story yesterday where the guy we know who sold his Secret Rare Spider-Man and his number 41 stamp got 100,000 gems, couldn't keep it, just spent it. People have spending issues. And
man. Gems are literally like little candies. Like, it's brutal. I can't even log on my app anymore, because if I log in and see that I have a balance, I'm like, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of... And then I'm just like, I'm out of money again. And I'm just like, no. So I've been making a point to try and not log on. Actually, that drop that I did on the top of the Empire State Building, I actually did on my buddy's phone, just so I wasn't even on my phone. Like, it was like, I can't, guys. I gotta wait until this drop happens, and then we'll see. We'll see what's up from there. But yeah, no, you're right. I think having the crypto component, and once we kind of see the next iteration of OUP, which I'm assuming will have a crypto component to it, and hopefully being able to use OMI to NFT, which is going to be a huge catalyst, and I think what the team has indicated being one of the first catalyst that'll come with the OUP. I think once we see something like that, it's going to be very exciting for the prospect of a lot of the valuations of the collectibles. Because like you said, even with the downturns in the market, there are still people who have been very successful in crypto for an extended period of time that would want to look to take advantage of these opportunities, especially if utility in the form of interoperability for collectibles or even just MCP or anything comes at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, if you take a look at, I'll try to find it on my friend's, on a buddy of mine's Facebook. He posted a photo, and it was about the adoption of technology in the U.S. from 1900 to present, where everyone starts. You know, whether it's telephones, TVs, video games, MP3 players, there's like 5 to 10% of people that maybe adopt it before their mass amount. And then take a look at where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is right down there. It's like maybe not even 5% of the world has it yet. And, you know, if that many people are just in Bitcoin for the investment, and again, so few, that means a lot fewer are into NFTs, especially ours, because nobody knows about it yet. I don't know about you. There's feeling 22. Sorry, Taylor Swift. Love her. There's almost a, I guess like a, you know, kind of Kick America thing where we're known for having like offensive displays of wealth.
Okay. Yeah.
And we're like, I'm gonna spend this much on the one bottle of scotch.
Yeah.
Do they have that in Canada? Is that like a?
Well, I mean, you spent 24 hours with my buddy, so if that hasn't given you any indication about what it's like when we spend money, no. Yeah, you know, being someone who hasn't had a lot of money ever in my life, I can't say what I would do, but I think, you know, I think people, when you get money, you're going to want to spend it on things, right? And as much as you want to invest and be responsible, I think, you know, people will buy things, and I think, you know, turning it back to the conversation we were having about the collectibles, you know, it's just one way that you can flex your wealth over other people, right? Like Andrew Tate, who's been all over social media lately, too much so, and it bogs my brain, but, you know, he has a Bugatti, and he talks about his Bugatti and how they only make 250 of them a year. So that in and of itself is like, that's a social flex. Like, you don't need to be a good driver, whatever, but like if you own something that no one else owns, it's just automatically, like you look at that and you go, oh man, that dude must be super well off or super rich. And it's amazing to see when you look at the adoption of Bitcoin only being at, you know, a couple percent, and NFTs and VeVe being thousands of fractionally percentages of Bitcoin in adoption. Even if we get the amount of adoption that Bitcoin has already seen, which is maybe 1% of the world, it's going to be incredible. And we see these big institutions releasing these studies, Citibank and other people. Shout out to Dan Schraubel, who's been doing a lot of Web3 homework when it comes to institutional adoption and investment in the metaverse. And I think that we're going to see a lot of money coming into this space and a lot of wealthy individuals who are wanting to take advantage of these opportunities. And like I said, the second that you're able to tie your social identity to just something that has perceived as value, and you know, I think Andre Jick said it, you know, the best, you know, talking about beveling goods and talking about, you know, jewelry and chains and things that were seen as being valuable pieces back in the day. I think the NFTs, like Andre said, are just the next iteration of these beveling goods, where if you own them, you don't even need to fully understand them. You get that social currency, which is almost in our society. If you guys have seen Black Mirror, you understand this. Like, social currency is the most valuable currency realistically. It's not like, even if you have money, that in and of itself is not necessarily valuable to people. You could be an idiot, whatever.
You need to show it off.
But if you can show it off and have something that no one else has, it's like, whoa, like that's...
And I'll tell you guys why. I mean, you guys already know, but it's because, and why do men... So I have to preface this by saying that I feel like split half and half. Men are just as smart as women are just as smart as men, whatever. Why do men make more? And I want to just really quickly, and then move on to this point that I'm trying to make. It's because Monster tries to get out of the shot. It's because a lot of very competent, conscientious women that are disagreeable and they get what they want, which is, you know, competence and disagreeableness are major factors in seeing how much you'll make. And a lot of women that are like that, let's say like a lawyer that gets partnered with a firm by 30, is making a whole bunch of money, can go further, like can choose to run that firm, can choose to open up her own, wherever. But a lot of women tend to choose, a lot of women in general, only date or only with someone that is either at their education level or higher, or that makes as much money as them or higher. And a lot of women that are with, high level women that are with guys that are also high level, you don't need two people making 300,000, 400,000 a year, where women's just like, okay, why am I going to do this and work 70 hours a week where I could just be home with my kids? You just can't buy that time back with your kids. So that's why a lot of them do that. But why do guys try to go and why are guys so crazy that a lot of them are going to be in that 1% that work 90 hours a week to make so much money? It's because that gives them more access to women. If you're not good looking like me, you need to make money, and that's how you get more access to women. And how do you show that off? You show that off by buying a really big house with a bunch of rooms you don't need, or you buy a really big car that depreciates super quickly. Or in the future, when Apple has AR glasses and Google has AR glasses, and there's going to be a little button that enables you to show off your NFTs, and anyone else that has that's wearing that is like, oh, no heckin' way. He's got like a number 41 Superman. He's got a walk. He's got all of these things that are following him. And again, they have to show, and you could rent them if you can't flaunt it while you got it. People can rent a house. They can pretend to be rich for a weekend. They can rent a house. They could rent a nice car, and they could try to pick up women that way. So I guarantee you this makes its way into the digital collectibles as well. Yeah. They're going to go on, and I feel like I'm talking so much. I feel like I put my foot in my mouth like 8 different times.
Here's what I'll say about all of that. Thanks for the 69 likes, guys. Can I get a nice for 69 likes in the chat? Appreciate it. And to the 132 of you that are watching, including my wife, who told me she was tuning in tonight. I love you, sweetie.
I promise I'm a good influence.
Yeah, Randy's a good influence, and you make more money than me, and I'm okay with it. So
there's something else that I wanted to go is wearables. There's this guy named Benito Fernandez who's got about 711,000 followers over on the Instagram.
I don't know why I zoomed in like this to see it. I'm like just sitting beside you, and I'm like, oh, what's he saying? Like,
CEO of Benito Official, and what he has been dabbling in is wearable NFTs and wearable collectibles. Now, this guy is not just anyone with 711,000 followers. He is the most popular, the biggest fashion designer in Argentina, and probably the biggest one in South America in general. He'll be here in a couple weeks for New York Fashion Week, and like next month or so, whenever that is. And him and his son are buddies of mine. I'm gonna go say hi. And I think that in the future, when you have somebody like this that's really into wearables, that's really into stuff like that, which utility is in as well. How much have I told you about utility?
A little bit.
Okay, so a lot of, I think that's just the next step of having wearables. How do you see that? It's okay. Well, you have to have the AR glasses. You have to have whatever. Have you taken a look into utility since I
haven't. Let's have a conversation about it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's have a conversation. You sent me the roadmap, which I thought was really interesting, and I think it's going to be an interesting project. I haven't had a chance to do so, a lot of research into it, but we should. I know that you have been talking about it on your live stream, so I've heard about it from you for a bit. I'm sure some of the people in the chat have, but maybe some of them haven't. So let's have a conversation about it.
Link down below to the Twitter, or not their Twitter, their Discord, and then earlier in July they had Discord and Twitter launch over on the 25th. In August they had collaboration, early access, promoting server with collaborators, early access for the partner members. And they also had a sneak peek of where's it at here? And it's going to be Guerrilla Girls, are very big in activism, very big in women's rights, and it's going to be a raffle airdrop, raffle merchandise, and figures to feature in Utility's metaverse when that comes in. I don't know when that's going to come in. They've been working on it for a while, but
nice.
So that's kind of the screenshot that it's going to have. It takes over the whole phone. It looks really cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
So already they're partnered with Guerrilla Girls, Rewind Collective, and then a couple of other artists. They haven't mentioned a lot of them yet, but
fair enough.
But there's a good amount of people that are getting in just because it's going to be some high end stuff. They'll have collectibles for everyone as well.
Yeah.
But there'll be high end stuff. There'll be one-on-ones, and there'll be.
I think the concept of that, and I think that that's important for people to recognize as well, right? Like, I think VeVe has positioned themselves to be the most successful in the space when it comes to mass adoption and marketing of digital collectibles to the average consumer. They also have, obviously a lot of their stuff is premium, but for the most part, it's going to be, hey, we want to get 5 million users and whatever. But I think other platforms are also, and it seems like Utility's doing it as well, where it's focusing on more of the high end stuff. But I really like that they're doing the aspect of, at least what it sounds like as well, is that they're doing the intellectual property tie-in as well, which I think is important. I think, I've tried, because I've been in the space now for close to 18 months. I've tried to go down the OpenSea rabbit hole and figure out what's valuable. I tried to mint a mecha, Mechaverse. I don't know if you remember that, but it was this huge hyped project, and they're like, it's gonna be worth a bunch of money. You should check it out. And then I went, and then I tried to mint it. I wasn't successful. Didn't get selected for whitelist, and it immediately went from 8 ETH to under 1 ETH. It was just a giant Ponzi rug scam thingy, and I just feel like a lot of the projects that you hear about on social media, it's the more influencers that are talking about it or hyping it up, it's almost I want to stick away from it, because I'm just well, what's the IP? What are you guys offering? And it's just well, we have a great community, and it's okay, great. I'm glad that you have a great community, and I'm supportive. I feel like we have a great community, but what does your project offer? Well, it's a great community, man, and it's okay, cool, but what's the value proposition? And so I think when you can look at a project, and I've done it a couple times now, getting involved with Back Cowls, which I thought was cool, which was licensed IP, getting involved with Virtua with their land on Cardano, I thought was really cool. I think the metaverse is going to be a big play, but all the things that I've really gotten involved with thus far have been tied to intellectual property directly, because I'm a firm believer that is what is going to be the most successful in the space. There's also a couple other projects that offer IP that are likely going to do well as well. Recur is probably going to do well. I know a lot of people seem to think that I don't like them or hate on them or whatever. I think Recur is going to do great. I just don't have the time, effort, or energy to focus on 15 different projects. So I haven't done a ton with Recur, but I think it's interesting, and I think the utility aspect with it, with Rewind Collective and stuff being involved, I'm sure Amar Singh is probably involved as well, because I think he has ties with Rewind or whatever. So
that'd be great.
I think that would be really cool if it was. Even if it's not, I think Rewind Collective as a whole is a really good brand. We've seen stuff of theirs on VeVe and stuff, and I think that I think that it would be cool. I know that you've been involved in it for a bit, and I think I'll probably hop in and check it out some more, because I think it'd be cool to get involved with and stuff. I'm not a higher end kind of purchaser necessarily myself, but I know a lot of my audience who likes to invest may find value in art, and I know Andre, who I talk with regularly, has been doing promotions for a lot of companies that are doing art investment, joint ownership of art investing and stuff. So I know that it's kind of an emerging market and sector, that the demand is going to be there for the digital kind of component of all of this. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it ties up.
Yeah,
I love reading the chat in the background. You guys are so awesome.
I love you guys too. Thank you for Maxwell for the beer money only, $10 super chat saying yo Foster.
What's going on, Maxwell?
There's a couple of people and companies that you mentioned that we'll probably partner with eventually, and get access to that network. But there's right now you can get you'll be qualified for a free NFT if you're one of the first 1,000 people to get there. I think there's 600 or so people on there.
Oh, nice.
And if you go and you do that, some questions that I think might arise, okay, well, how do people keep them? There'll be incentives to keep the NFTs that you get. So you by all means you can sell them and flip, but there'll be reasons why you wouldn't want to. So I like the roadmap. I like the stuff that's coming, and I like. So
now, as someone who's been involved in VeVe as long as you are, do you look at this as a direct competitor to VeVe? It's going to come over and take over its market share in the place. Do you look at this as not even being in the same realm of VeVe, not in necessarily the sense of quality, but just in the sense of they're not catering to the same audience or whatever? How do you kind of view all of that?
Not yet. Again, it's a different type of people. What took 25 years for Pokemon to get to that level of maturity, where you used to have stuff in golden auctions, where you have millions of dollars worth of stuff. There's millions on the VeVe app. Not one is worth millions right now.
Right.
I think as you get stuff like that in, as you get bigger money in, what I guess Rewind in general, but what Utility will come bring in, you'll just get a different audience.
Okay.
if there was going to be a competitor in the future, I would say that utility would have a possibility. Right now, nobody can catch VeVe. It will take years. But if we're talking about years down the line,
Number one.
I think that the same way, Recur, DC, like and VeVe, like all of these licenses, they're not exclusive.
Yeah.
So, I think at some point, utility will be able to go and say, hey, we have these licenses as well.
Yep.
Now, Disney and Marvel and VeVe have been doing amazingly, saying, hey, we're going to give you guys all the first appearances. But there will be some things that, one thing is that you can't just physically go and say, like, okay, here's 101 Dalmatians first. You can, but it's just there's so much in the pipeline. I tagged Universal the other day. I was like, Universal, there is, and it might not be their fault. I don't know what the team's prioritizing, but there's less than 3 months that we have until Halloween. Where are the monsters at, Universal? Give us our horror monsters. I think that right now, because not too many people or companies really know about NFTs, utility's in a really good position to say, like, oh, hey, these guys are doing well. We can do just as good, if not better, because of X, Y, and Z, and dot, dot, dot.
Well, I think that they're, and from what I know about them anyways, like, having a first mover advantage is valuable in a space because you learn from other people's mistakes. So I think anyone that comes after VeVe has that advantage of seeing what VeVe has done and seeing the mistakes that they've made.
Yeah.
But like you said, I feel like VeVe is so far ahead just as a platform and all the things that they've accomplished and had to overcome that now all of these other platforms are starting to pop up that will be able to put their own unique spin or be able to secure their own unique licenses. But for the most part, I feel like VeVe has gone out and has secured the lion's share of the biggest licenses, or at the very least, even if they're not exclusive, they've secured the vast majority of the valuable FAs of those licenses.
Yeah.
So as a perfect example, we've seen Star Trek both on VeVe and Recur. But and yeah, there's an argument that like one's one license and one's the other license, and it's like Star Trek Next Generation versus. But I feel like what's really valuable is the FA, and on top of that, what's valuable is that the platform that has the biggest recognition will be the one that is successful, and it's not always the first, but generally the first one that comes up that is able to assert itself early will be the ones that's the most successful. So as a perfect example, I look at Uber. I don't know when Lyft was created. They're both American companies out in Canada. But like I don't even know if Lyft is in Canada. I know they have it in the States, but like I would never try and take a Lyft. Like if I'm looking for a ride sharing service, Uber is synonymous with ride sharing.
Yeah.
If I'm looking to #chill, I'm looking to Netflix and chill. I'm not looking to Disney Plus and chill, or Hulu and chill, or Prime and chill. Like, these other industries can pop up and still have some of the market share, but it doesn't necessarily negate the value that the first has. And if the first is so far ahead and is able to continue that momentum and continue that advantage, then they're always, in my opinion, going to be the one that's the most successful. But that doesn't mean that you can't check out Recur because you think Nickelodeon and the Rugrats is dope and you want to pick up some of those, or you want to go pick up some digital stickers, so you want to go check out Quid, or they have Cash App, by the way, also.
I was just coughing. So
I can't even say it seriously. Anyways, don't go check out Quid. I can't. Recur, check them out. I think that they're doing awesome. I think that they'll do well. Check out Utility. I think that they're going to do well. Check out Backhouse. Those are all projects that coexist in the space that I think all do well at supporting one another and bringing everyone up.
I like
HRO, is good as well. I think that they're doing well, although I haven't heard the community speak on them as much lately, so I don't really know what they have going on most recently.
They're coming down after Comic-Con where they had the big hype.
Yeah, well, you tore something down the first day, didn't you?
It was the Wonder Woman. It was the first day.
That's dope.
Yeah,
No, and I think that that's awesome that these other communities are embracing the content creators and are looking to support one another and just kind of grow the entire space. I think that that's really what we need right now is we're such a niche area that we need everyone to kind of work together to build one another. And I think awareness in one project brings awareness to the entire space, which is good for all projects. So I'm glad to see that VeVe's leading the charge in a lot of ways, but I'm also equally excited to see some of these other projects bringing awareness. I think we're Kerr with Nickelodeon and having interoperability already. People sleep on how good that is for VeVe because these licensors can see what other licensors are doing, and instead of VeVe needing to convince licensors to like do a 6-month trial with other licenses first, the Disneys and the Marvels and the Pixars and the DCs can look at it and go, well, Nickelodeon can do this, and they're interoperable, and they're making X amount more money. We can run the statistics on it. Like, we want our stuff to be interoperable right away because we see the value proposition of it. So I think that it's really good to see these other companies accomplishing these things in the space. So yeah, it's interesting. So I look forward to learning more about utility. I know you talk about it regularly. I joined the Discord the other day. I'll be honest, with coming to New York and everything, I haven't had a chance to check it out as much, but it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to check out. Like I said, I don't think, even though I think VeVe is always going to be number one in my heart, it doesn't mean that people can't show love to other projects and stuff. Doesn't mean anyone's jumping ship or anything, but I think it's a cool opportunity to check out different stuff. So
yeah, I like that you brought up we could all work together, because I think growing the hobby of digital collectibles is probably, and again, Meta's doing really well, saying that, oh yeah, we're going to bring out PFP, so 100 more different countries on Instagram. So I think if other people want to help promote the hobby, let them. Let people like Utility and Recur do it. Let Hero and Meta do that as well. I mean, it's not a great look that Meta has been losing how many billions of dollars trying to build their metaverse and stuff. They'll succeed. They'll go and they'll make it happen. But I like your example that first to market tends to do very well. But I think you picked not great examples on that they'll always be the head.
Is Netflix losing now? Oh no.
Netflix is losing very badly.
Oh no! All I do is watch Netflix, guys. I'm sorry.
Dude, I called this for a while because they have a bunch of users, but they have a bunch of debt, and they, like, outside of this year where everyone was cosplaying as like Eddie from Stranger Things. Did you see that?
Oh, okay. I haven't seen Stranger Things yet.
So
dude, I live in a bubble. I don't know what's going on, man. Like, you make like a ton of movie references or like whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, man. Like,
I got three, they're not my brothers, but there's 3 brothers out there that watch me, and they have like a drinking game on like my pop culture references.
Oh, okay.
So shout out to
awesome.
them.
It's like a bingo. Like, will Randy mention this thing? Just like check off, have a shot.
I think they all have to drink if none of them get the reference.
Oh.
Hey, did you get that? I didn't get it. Oh, okay. Because but when we're talking about working together and like you mentioned Uber. So Uber's going to be big, but they made a very big mistake. They had, and I like how you said utility can learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
Uber, when they were driving around, they didn't collect any of the data on where people were going. They didn't collect any of the data on driving. So Tesla's like they have, I think, how many billions of miles like driven for their AI or for their full self-driving. So as soon as that comes out and Teslas can legally drive themselves, you'll be able to take a Tesla ride-sharing system for like a quarter of the price of what Uber would be, because there's no driver. They don't need insurance on it. They don't need.
Wow.
So yeah, their days are still a long time, but their days are.
Are you still getting a Cybertruck?
Yes. I pre-ordered 2. And
you pre-ordered 2?
Pre-ordered 2 because when I pre-ordered 1.
Someone's confident in OMI.
Well, I pre-ordered 1, and it was when the full self-driving, it was only like, I think 7,000 or 5,000 or whatever to get. And they got me to like, it's the last day before the price goes up. I was like, oh, all right. So yeah, I think there were 7,000. I think.
Randy, it's not like a buy one get one free chocolate bar. You're buying Cybertrucks.
Yeah, but the full self.
Oh, last day. Okay, I'll buy a second one. It's fine.
Because then, if I'll try to go for it now. I'll see. All right, price of full. Okay. Full self driving. I cannot type today. All right, so it's 12,000 now. So already, both of my Teslas have appreciated $5,000. I didn't even get them yet. Both of my Cybertrucks.
That's actually dope. You know what I will say? I have a buddy back home who bought an electric vehicle recently, and his electric vehicle, people are offering like 20, 25K over what he paid for it. just to get one because
Yeah.
it's so backed up to be able to get them. So, I think when a new technology comes in, it definitely got the chance to be valuable and people are looking to get their hands on it. I mean, we see it even in the markets now. Like you could pick something up for $7, but people, either aren't lucky enough to get it or don't go for it, and they'll pick it up for more later. It's like, it's like it's like kind of like the greater fool theory because it's like, there's always someone left like holding the bag around. But I think with something like this, like with collectibles and the real world value proposition and everything, I think that I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how this kind of transpires and breaks down over time.
Yeah, I mean, you have, I mean, go on the Disney Facebook groups like collectors. There's no mention of VeVe. There's no mention. I mean, there's like, I mean, look at Comic-Con. Look at news articles about VeVe. There aren't any. Like, there's no marketing that's been done yet.
Yeah.
When it does come out, and it will, take a look at that Alcon interview from like 4 years ago, saying we're gonna have so much creative marketing. WB's gonna be marketing for us. There's gonna be marketing for us.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very bullish on I guess just on the space in general and everything.
So I have a question for you. Why is it that you think that Disney, as an example, used to tweet out about all the golden moments, and Marvel used to tweet out
Disney?
I think Disney did. They tweeted out about on their official Twitter about the golden moments back in November that were happening.
I think they
Do
did.
you feel that? Do you think that there's a reason that these companies aren't mentioning these things as much? Like maybe they just realize like it sells out instantly, so they don't have to, or like what's the?
I mean, there's so many theories. I mean, you have the one theory that I mean, whoever manages Disney's Twitter probably just isn't being told to advertise it. Like,
Interesting.
I mean, because I mean, there's, again, they don't need to because they do sell out everything they have.
Yeah.
But I don't know whose job it is in order. Like we partner with Rogers and Cowan, and they're like one of the biggest marketing agencies. I haven't seen anything from them. Why?
Wow.
I don't either because I mean they have how many thousands of clients.
Yep.
But so they might need the VeVe team, which is really crazy, working on people getting locked out of their accounts and their passwords are resetting. So VeVe's working round the clock fixing all these issues, running around like chicken with their head cut off. So it might not be prioritizing it, saying like, "Hey, Rogers and Cowan, can you do something?" Or Dan Chabot had a post on Facebook the other day saying, "Hey, you could go to every single journalist that's ever covered Thor, or it's ever covered Fantastic Four, ever covered this, and just say like, hey, they're coming out with these premium digital collectibles." And they're just not doing it, either because they're busy, or they're not prioritizing it, or they think that because we don't have a working search bar right now, the app can't handle it. I mean, you remember what it was like when people were saying like, "Hey, the app is shutting down." Didn't have enough servers.
It was absolutely brutal. Like it's to see how far we've actually come. Like, couldn't we go further? 100%. There's so many things that still need to be done and that we should have done, but we've actually come a long way. It's really amusing. I'm gonna go drink water. Let's see. Let's answer some questions from or comments from the fan and see what they're up to.
Yes. Let us go do the thing. Julie, do the thing. Wow, there do be a ton of these. We're definitely not getting all these.
No.
Smart Buy says this should have been 60K editions. I'm gonna say nah. I like it this way. Form of advertising genius. VeVe's oversaturating all the non-grails and limiting the grails. I mean, for the amount of people that's here now, yeah, but this is nothing for the amount of people that's going to come in. Like I said, just the hedge funds and the big boys alone, those are the companies. Those are going to be, excuse me, there's not going to be enough to go around. Like I guarantee you, in the next 2 years, the tune changes from they're saturating the market to this is not fair. Only whales and companies can get in.
Yeah.
And it's everybody's own fault. Like we're our own worst enemies selling at these prices. Like you could see it happening in the real world. Same thing's going to happen here. What happens? You have a bunch of gentrification come in. You have a bunch of people. Doesn't really matter their race. They'll come into one area. They'll buy up all the properties over asking value. People take it. They'll move out to a different part of town.
Yep.
They build that area up. If they would have just held for a little while longer, then they property could have doubled. They could have done what else? I'll bring up a meme. It'll be I love speaking in memes. It is a hodl.
It's one of the best forms of communication.
It is. So, boys, oh god, here is your reason to hodl. Megan Fox younger, Megan Fox older. When she blossoms, like that's your investment. You can by all means sell now. This is not financial advice, not a financial advisor, although I kind of am. But you can by all means sell now when the only people that are in the markets are people that are that maybe need this, that maybe say like, oh, this is a part of my income and I need this to survive. Or you could wait until most people are bought out, and then you have the Pokemon issue where like, oh, only big people can get that. I guess it's, money goes to money type of deal, and you have that complaint where it's just, if you just hodl or grind, like I've seen it before where determined people will get it. Determined people get this stuff. I've had people go in and say, hey, I want this card, what do I do? And I don't want to sell my collection, just work more. Like I've had people that were already working full-time jobs that I told to get a second job, and they did, X amount of months later, and they got it. And the $8,000 card that they got is worth like $20K now, so on and so forth.
It's funny, we already kind of see that in a sense right now. There's a guy, can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I was seeing on Twitter that he was working like DoorDash to make money to buy a second Elsa. And Elsa's like, whatever Elsa is.
Like 600.
Yeah, like half a grand or something or whatever. But I just thought it was very inspirational. Like even at these levels, like people are working extra to try and do that.
Yeah, so. And that's so smart to do that right now. I mean, if your time's gonna, I mean, for me, I'm one of those crazy. You have White Claws? Sorry, I didn't. No. I drank too much last night. Y'all saw me on the Twitter like. So I'm one of those people that like crazy 1% that will work 90 hours a week to whatever just to make a lot of money. My reasoning is for animal conservation, not necessarily to get it in. But what are people like if you're only working 40 hours a week and you're just like I don't want to make this like a it's different. Well, you don't have a family. I have a family I need to take care of. Okay, like fair point, I think. But if you're only working 40 hours a week and you don't have enough money to do what you want, just work more. Like working 40 hours a week means nothing to me. Like when I had two businesses working like 80, 90 hours a week and had, a girlfriend and had a YouTube channel, like heck off with your 40 hours a week. I'm tired. Like I was like, okay, so are kids in Africa that are searching for food right now. Like so is that little Iranian boy that escaped a war carrying his puppy like 100 miles. Fudge out of here. No, I feel like community every now and then needs a little bit of tough love. Shout out to that guy that was door dashing and to get that Elsa. He deserves it.
100%. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, if you're working extra, I think that's that's very good. You have my respect if you do that. Wes, thoughts on 20 billion OMI being transferred to Bit4X through 2,000 different wallets? Do you think this is people that are just saying like, hey, I have GoChain OMI and I need to convert it? Do you think it's people that are looking to dump? Do you think that
So it's definitely an easy way to convert through Bit4X. Like it's one of the easier ways because I think they still support both chains natively. So if it's kind of the lazy way instead of using the bridging site, like you can kind of just do it through Bit4X. So I will say it's interesting timing that so many people are choosing to do it all at once. Now, one whale may have 10 or 20 wallets, but even then, it could be 1,000 whales. Like it's a lot of wallets all at the same time, but I don't know if the price has reflected any concerns with it at all. I'm not personally concerned about it because I feel like for the most part, yeah, like OMI's up today. So I mean, like it's like you can see we're trading very much like sideways. So I'm not particularly concerned about the fact that OMI's been added on because realistically, the liquidity's not there for people to be able to dump, even if they wanted to anyways. And so there's really not anything to be concerned about. It's worth noting, and I'm glad that Jason Cologne tracks it. Shout out to him for keeping track of all those things. He's awesome. But I'm not particularly alarmed. I'll be honest, I'm kind of at the point now where, I don't know about you, but I don't check the price of OMI really that much. Like I didn't even know what it was because, I mean, for me, like I have a longer term outlook on it and I'm not day trading OMI, so it's sitting in my ledger and I don't need to check the price of it. So
I mean, I do just for my daily videos, like, hey guys, OMI's up this % today in relation to the markets. And so actually, let's do that now real quick. What was OMI up for the day?
0.02%.
Okay, so it's up so it traded sideways. It was not up pretty much.
I mean, I did say traded sideways, but it was technically green. So.
So you do have the markets being closed today, as it is a Saturday, but we did outperform Bitcoin because Bitcoin was down over 1% today. So again, outperforming Bitcoin, not really doing anything with markets, but I am pretty happy with this because we're trading sideways with less than $500,000 in volume. There's only $465,000 that were traded today. Yeah, that's why I did the before. It's so low.
That's so bad. Like it. And this just goes to show, like, 20 billion OMI, like, like, I'm sorry, you're not dumping like $5 to $10 million worth of liquidity in, like, it's just not happening. Like, what are you dumping to? Like, it's just not going to fill in the order books. Like, you can set a sell wall if you want, but like, to what end? Like, it's just, there's just no liquidity right now. And I'm okay with it. Like, I would say the biggest issue right now is for people looking to accumulate and just not having the sell walls there to accumulate without raising the price too much. Yeah. So that's the balance that I think people are working through right now. But
so some good news on LinkedIn. We had Michael Adler say New York Comic Con should be epic. Now, why would he say that? What are your thoughts on that?
He's a moon boy like the rest of us. No, I don't know. For those of you that don't know who Michael Adler is, he's the new CTO for, I think, the U.S. region for OMI. So, well-spoken individual, definitely going to be a good asset for the team and kind of accomplishing all the goals that they're looking to accomplish with the company. So, what will be coming at that event, I really don't know, because he more works on the OMI side. So I don't know what he could possibly be announcing or have it related to. Could be something to do with OUP or MCP, maybe, but I really don't know. I don't think it's bad though.
Yeah.
So
some more good news. We do have someone called @NFT Update who has about 289,000 followers. So pretty heavy into this. We've got a lot of people following him. And he tweets that NFT influencers ignore VeVe, So Rare, DraftKings, Zedrun, and Guild of Guardians. I wonder why. So it is pretty nice to be associated with a lot of those things. I'm not sure who So Rare are, but DraftKings and Zedrun are really, really big. Is Guild of Guardians on Immutable X?
Yeah, Guild of Guardians wasn't it number one before HRO went over?
Oh, probably did. But
I think it was number one for trading volume.
In the last week, I think Hero was only number 5 though.
Oh.
So I think that had gone on and changed.
Okay.
But yeah, so like I said, a lot of really good news here, whether it be to, I forgot about that. Also, we do have some new wallets coming in from Kelly the VeVe Fox or @RootlessGirl. So there aren't a ton of new ones. There were today 2,744 daily active wallets and only 42 new active wallets. I think that was yesterday though, because she's over in Europe.
Okay.
So that was yesterday, I think.
So this would have been before the 3 drops we had today. Then.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine that number would be higher today.
Yeah. So we have Kobe Collects coming in saying, why do people open $20 Pokemon packs just to sell 99% of the cards for less than $1? The chase, the entertainment, and the experience. VeVe Twitter and the VeVe feed pocket watchers just need to experience collectible free markets a little bit more to understand that this is normal. So that is why a lot of people go in, they gamble, and then they sell it if they don't, just...
Well, and the vast majority of the hero cards are for sale for $1, and the only reason they're for sale for $1 is $1 is the cheapest price that you can list for on the platform. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just how collectible markets work. People will sell, they'll look to regain some of their costs, or sell at a loss because they just don't want something, and that's just to be expected. I think, obviously, there's some, larger market trends and things, at play right now that are causing some less market activity than we could see otherwise, but
yeah. Shout out to Puddin' Cheeks saying smash that like button is cheaper than AF15 drop. So I paper handed 15 things at a loss for this drop. Okay, all right, respect.
At least you can own it. Yeah. I respect that.
Pineapple Gang. Keith Smith saying Essence is better than OMI.
Oh, those are fighting words.
Do you have a? Did you ever get any Earth 2? Any Earth 2 property?
No. I did hear you talking about when I first came into the community, but any leftover money went into OMI.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
Depending on, most likely it'll be probably coming out at $2 per essence, because there's only about 5 billion that could ever be mined, and I think less than 200 million of them are available right now in the circulating supply. It's probably like 160. But
so you think it's gonna have a $300 million market cap?
Well, if it's at 200 million and it's at $2, it'll be $400 million market cap.
Wow, that'd be bigger than OMI right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, it'll be on Binance first of all, so it'll be.
Wow.
So it's not going to be on. It might be on some couple crappy exchanges. They might renegade list, but.
Are you saying that OMI's on crappy exchanges, Randy?
I mean, not the best ones in the world with a lot of liquidity.
That's fair.
But yeah, they do. Again, why. OMI's not on a bunch of exchanges like they said they were is the same reason why Earth 2 delayed their listing as well. You don't want to list in a bear market. And Earth 2, if you look at, their Telegram and Discord groups, that is a lot more active than Decentraland, a lot more active than Sandbox. That is the most active outside of VeVe, but they are pretty much neck and neck. And As far as metaverses are concerned, Earth 2 is actually ahead just because they already did their land sale. They already did that. They sold their 100 millionth tile, I think, last month.
Wow,
So
that's awesome.
It went pretty hard. Now, as far as the NFTs, no. Like the only NFTs they have are like NFTs of me and other people that are going for like $5. And it's on wax.
Monetize. Let's go.
But they're on wax, so they're probably not going to have a lot like ever. They have a Peruvian dish? I don't know. I don't think I've really had Peruvian dishes.
No, I don't know that I've... you know what, it wasn't asked to me, so I can just avoid the question.
No. You know they have guinea pig?
Why would you eat guinea pig?
It's just, I don't know, they're different down there. They're like 40 pounds, apparently. Or maybe 20 pounds, I don't know.
Oh.
Secret rare frosty.
Hey.
Pump Walt. Don't pump White. Walt's going to be... yeah, so this is what I think... I mentioned Walt at 100K before. When OMI's at 10 cents, and you have people that are... What is 10 cents from now? That's a 50x? If we were at 0.002, that'd be a 50x.
Yeah, it'd be like a 60x right now, I think.
Okay, all right, so let's say 60x. And you go and you say... And you put in, let's say, $1,000 into OMI. Which is very doable for people that, are working the extra job, that's working... Because we're probably going to be down here for a little while. In the next couple of years, when you put in $1,000 and you can pull out $60,000, you're going to be spending that. And again, that's just $1,000. You put in $10,000 and then suddenly you have, what is that, $600,000?
Yeah.
Why not buy a Walt? Why not, again, there's going to be so...
Why not buy my Walt?
How do you...
Guys, I'm kidding. I'm not selling my Walts.
How many do you have left?
3.
What would make you sell the Walts?
Needing the money for something so awesome that it wouldn't matter how well Walt would do. So, like, I don't know. Like, they drop, like, Charizard or something, and it's, like, 1 of 100, and it's, like, you need to get one. Like, I would probably sell one at that point. Or if OMI's not doing what I needed to do over the short term and VeVe's performing better, I may sell one to transfer some liquidity into OMI, or something just happens in my life that I need to address. I was gonna see this one, but yeah. So that's my thing. There was one specifically I saw earlier that I wanted to address from Michael.
Boujelian.
And he says, "You've been open about stacking OMI. How much OMI would we need to be a multi-millionaire? This is assuming the premise that OMI to $1 is still pretty far away." So I'm talking next moon cycle. I like that, moon cycle. I think this is an important conversation to have, because I think people will accuse us of having unrealistic expectations.
I've done the
sometimes.
math on it. You go first and I'll go second.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll come in with the...
So I think that, bearing in mind that the circulating supply could be reduced anywhere from 10 to 50% in the next 3 years or so, by 2025 is kind of the metric that I'm using. And bearing in mind that that would reduce the market cap needed in order to hit certain price targets. What I mean by that is 300 billion circulating supply would be 300 billion at $1. But if you cut it into 150 billion and remove 50% of the circulating supply, you now only need $150 billion. Therefore, you can hit $1 twice as quickly. So with that in mind, I think that it's quite conceivable for us to hit anywhere between 5 and 10 cents by 2025, which I think is probably on the conservative side, but I'd rather be conservative and realistic than kind of super excited and think that it's going to do something more than what it might actually. And I think it's also worth noting as well that that's like a 50 to 100x from where we are right now. So, I mean, that's really nothing to scoff at when you consider the fact that it's a 3-year time horizon. Even if we were to hit like 2 cents, like I'd still be very happy on that investment. That'd still be a 15 to 20x. I think it really just depends on what your goals are, what you're looking to accomplish. Like, are you looking to 2x your money and then move on with your life? Or are you looking to really ride it out and maximize kind of as much return as you could possibly make? I think for me, my goal has and always will be to pay off my house. My secondary goal will be, if I can retire off of the amount of money that I make, then obviously that's fantastic as well. If and when those things happen are still yet to be seen. But I think what you need to focus on the most right now is understanding that OMI doesn't have any inherent value or use case currently. And it's all based off of the future proposition of what could come. But to me, if you're someone who's okay with taking a little bit of risk and it's money that you don't need and that you would be okay with regardless, not having if it was to go to zero, this is the best time to buy it, because if you're waiting until something that's already established and has already accomplished all the things that they're looking to accomplish, at that point you're basically just exit liquidity. Like, you're getting in at a time when, yeah, you're going to make your 6 to 10% a year, but you're not making those life-changing gains. Whereas with this, you're taking the risk that it could go to zero and the team could not deliver, or it could be a rug pull, or any of those things that, well, I think you're crazy to believe, are still your right to believe them. So I think that if you take into consideration even a 50x could be life-changing, which would be 5 cents, I think that's very reasonable to kind of assume could happen in the next 3 years or so. Now, of course, without being able to run any of the numbers on any of the OMI utility that's coming, it's really just kind of like hopium. Like, hey, this number sounds nice, but at the same time, 5 cents at 300 billion circulating supply would be 5%, which would be $15 billion. I don't think that that's unrealistic to hit as a market cap. The reason that I say that is that places like Decentraland with the Mana token, or Sandbox and Decentraland with the Mana token, have hit those market caps previously in 2021. So to assume that it couldn't do that again in 2025 or more, I just don't believe it. And then you look at coins like Dogecoin and Shiba, which didn't really have a use case at all. I won't use Dogecoin because Elon Musk and whatever, people get upset when I reference that. But you even look at Shiba Inu, like, they hit like a $21 billion market cap with really absolutely nothing other than like, hey bro, you should buy this because I'm buying it.
Meme
and
coin.
yeah, and it did more than what we would need to do based on market cap to hit even 5 cents.
So if you go and you take a look at, and I am going way, I don't want to say it's conservative. If you're referencing mine to Foster's and comparing it, it's going to be absolute moonboyish. Because I think that the potential to hit $1, even though I think it'll definitely hit it before 2030, I think the potential to hit it will come by 2025. Here's why. When you were talking about those particular market caps, it's when we're still relatively immature as far as the mass adoption is concerned, and you have things like this, the bear markets, where money shakes out of bad projects and they come into good projects. And even with no utility, or not no utility, even with no burn, it would, like you said, take about 300 billion in order to go and get that. I think by 2030, you have a $20 trillion market cap for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that would be about $1 million of Bitcoin, or like, what was that, $168,000 per Ethereum? Or give or take?
Woo!
Or maybe, yeah. Or maybe it's half of that, like 88. It's one of those, or it's half of that. I think we could share a very, very small amount of that. Again, that's if they're 20 trillion each. If we are 5% of that, and we are at 1 trillion, then that's a $3 OMI. Again, that's by 2030. But I think why we could possibly get to $1 by 2025 is because, again, if you take a look at how much land goes for in Decentraland or land for in Sandbox, and maybe you can get someplace next to Snoop Dogg or like Paris Hilton, or like there's people right now like Janine Yorio of Every Realm that's buying land in Sandbox, and maybe have Ken Gwynn from Republic. It's got $1 billion in assets under management. But I guarantee you, those people also buy VeVe, and they also buy OMI, and they also buy land next to not just somebody that, again, Snoop Dogg is awesome. I love him. I'm going to try to get his brother on the podcast soon. Buddy of mine just met him pretty recently, so that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
But I think, people are people, and what I mean by that is that I went into Pokemon just because I love it, and not that there wasn't potential with baseball and football and basketball cards, but there's a lot more risk. Because Cubone is not going to get charged with assault. He's not going to go and kill someone with his bone club. Pikachu's not going to get accused of using steroids. Some of these other, like, people kill other people. Like, you have football players they straight up murder other people. They beat their girlfriends. They're charged like sexually harassing people. Some people don't do very good, so it's very, very speculative. And obviously, I'm not saying anything about Snoop Dogg, whatever. He's very nice. But I think if you want to try to get something next to someone just because they're a big superstar, what happens when they get canceled? What happens when they, if they say something that isn't even bad, they just say something, Twitter just decides to cancel because, they're crazy.
Yeah.
Twitter's a war zone. I think getting something that next to, if we have anything next to Marvel or Disney, Star Wars land, if that happens to be in the VeVeverse, I guarantee you that is going to go for a lot. And people don't buy when things are boring. People buy when things are exciting. Like where you should be accumulating down here, people are not, again, less than $500,000 in average daily volume today. And why? Because people don't want to buy when it's down for some stupid reason. So when are people going to buy? They're going to buy when it's 0.008. We're going to go to a penny, bro. When we're at a couple cents. We're going to go to 10 cents, bro. When we're at 10 cents. We're going to go to $1, bro. And people are going to buy, and they're going to hodl, and you're going to have that squeeze. And
I mean, we saw it with Dogecoin.
yeah. And again, that's what like, you can't do anything with that.
But it was that hodl mentality, that whole like, hey, we're at 10 cents, like $1 mission, and that really pushed it most of the way. Like you got to $0.75.
And how much Doge is created each day? Like
it's infinite. It has an infinite circulation.
Yeah, like there's so much Doge is created each day. There's no more being created to this. So yeah, this I guarantee you, there's some FOMO happens. Again, things are fairly bleak right now for the crypto at large, but that won't always be the case, and it's going to be a whole new wave in the next couple of years.
It's like a whole different vibe being here with you and having these conversations with you. Because when I'm watching you, or we're having these conversations kind of on the screen, I feel like I process it differently, but it's like your energy really like resonates. You know what I mean? Like I can feel it. It's like, you know what? Like he's not just trying to sell me on it. Like he genuinely believes it himself. And I hope you guys get that too. I mean, at the end of the day, make your own decisions. But like, I love this guy, man. He's got such good energy. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
you gotta. I mean, it's good to be happy. It's good. All right, so that I guess we'll get on a little personal level over here.
Oh boy.
What makes you happy? Like genuinely, like I'm having a good time. I'm having fun. Like this is.
That's a great question. A couple things make me happy. Disconnecting from technology, which I'm obsessed with regularly, actually makes me happy. Being able to take a step back. Spend a lot of time on social media, and I think sometimes it can get to me a little bit, and I spend too much time focusing on talking to people that I don't know and that I'll never meet and whatever, and you kind of lose touch of being able to spend time with people that matter. And so being able to spend some time with family, close friends. I was really looking forward to coming down this weekend and meeting you.
Yeah.
Our event got canceled. For those of you guys that don't know, my buddy Mike and I were supposed to come down to watch the Jake Paul fight, which is why we were coming. We were meeting Randy. Randy was going to come to the fight, and we're going to hang out and have a nice weekend. That event got canceled. So we were kind of deciding, humming and hawing, like whether we were going to go or not. What was the point? And we're like, you know what, we have the room anyways, let's go down. And so like doing stuff like this and like really just getting to connect with people that I've gotten to develop relationships with, and like I've gotten to know you over the last year, like stuff like that makes me happy. It's like meeting people that are like genuinely good and like spending time with them, spending time with my family, and like making money eventually will be something that won't necessarily make me happy. Like obviously making money, like that's cool, but like I feel like it's gonna give me more free time to be able to do stuff like this and connect with other people and spend more time with my family, which are the things that I think are really the most freeing, and realize that like at the end of the day, like I haven't had a chance to see my daughter in a few days, and just with my work schedule, like I think I've seen my daughter twice in the last like 8 days, which, in the 2 years that she's been in my life, is like the longest that I've been apart from her. And you don't realize the stuff that you value kind of on that, because you're just like a talking head on a screen and stuff. But when I'm disconnected from all this stuff, like it's really nice just to be able to spend time with loved ones and stuff, because time is kind of the one constant that you can't change. Like it goes on whether you want it to or not. Like you can't hit the pause button like you can on a video or anything like that. Like life just kind of keeps going. So I think the things that make me happy are just the things that you can't buy, like these memories and just these experiences of being able to spend time with people. I'm definitely afraid of heights, so that was a cool experience too, being able to go to the top of the Empire State Building and go outside my comfort zone. But yeah, I think that's probably the things that make me happy. What about you, sir?
Well, I would say, Mike, do you want to search up, are we going out, search up bars? Or search up, if you want to search it while we wind down here?
Yep.
Bars near us, and then when you find a location, we'll send it out. We'll go let you guys know if you want to come meet.
Cool.
So me happy. Yeah, like I said, things like this are really fun because it's not every day that like friends can kind of come together.
Yeah.
And when it happens, I think it's really special, and I feel like it's I mean it's I'm happy that this is happening before we're like richer and famouser. Famouser is a word. Because we can kind of still like enjoy this privacy and enjoy like like we'll give you guys like where we're going. So if a couple of you guys want to come, that's great, and meet everyone. But I feel like the amount like there's like a documentary I was watching of Friends one day, where one of the casting people they took out the 6 friends of the show, and they walked them through a casino. And it said, I want you to remember this moment. Because it was like a couple days before Friends like aired. And it said, you'll never be able to walk through a casino like this again without getting recognized. Because they knew that it was going to be a phenomenon. Now we know VeVe is going to be huge. And thank you, Vicky Dunn, for the super chat. Thank you, William Coulter. I used to work right across the office from that guy. Desk was right across from me. He put up, my desk was so messy. He had 2 monitors and put up a 3rd monitor so that he didn't have to look at my mess. Are you a St. Louis Cardinals fan? I am a St. Louis Cardinals fan, but they didn't have St. Louis Cardinals hats here. We know that VeVe is going to be a household name, and the people that cover it are probably also going to be, I don't want to say household names themselves, but we can probably have as much or as little of the limelight that we wanted to. I mentioned this a little bit before, but have you talked to your wife about like, hey, as VeVe blows up, I'm going to have to make a choice of I could lean into this and I could become kind of like what Randy's doing now, or I could step back and give us some privacy because we don't know how this is going to affect the kids, we don't know how it's going to affect our relationship. Have you had that conversation?
Not really, because I'll be honest with you, like I've always said this, like content creation has never been my goal. Like it's something that I started doing just because I found some information I thought was valuable for the community, and I kind of kept it going a bit. Found more valuable information and kind of did my research and went through my journey. I'm kind of at the point now where I feel like I've given all of the information that I have to offer that's kind of out there right now. And as things kind of come up further, I'll probably continue to make content when I think it's valuable for other people and I feel like they need to know about it. But I've never had, and I've always respected you for it, but I've never had that urge to make a video or whatever just to kind of, hey, I haven't had my 15 minutes. And I know that that's not why you do it. I want to make that clear. You have a genuine connection with the community and you build relationships, and I think that it's fantastic. But for me, it's just like if I don't have something to say, or if someone's specifically not asking me about something, I'm just not going to say it. Like I'm kind of, I'm okay with not being on social media and not making YouTube videos. If people want to watch them and they want to support it because I put something out that they thought was valuable, great. I think that that's awesome that I'm helping you in your journey, similarly to how people like Randy helped me when I first started. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to, like, you're going to be that red carpet guy. Like, you're going to be the guy representing the company, doing all that stuff. I'm okay with being kind of behind the scenes and kind of just, I don't know, just hanging out and vibing. And, I like taking advantage of these opportunities and getting to talk with you. And, like, we didn't even know if we were going to do this live when we were down here. We were kind of humming and hawing about it. And so, like, I don't know, man. We'll see where life takes me. I don't want to commit to anything definitively one way or another, because obviously things do change as time goes on. But if there's some really cool opportunities and experiences, like I do want to try and get out to DCon Anaheim and be able to meet the fam and kind of hang out with everyone and thank everyone that supported me through everything and kind of just be around people in person, because it's been so long since we've been able to really do that. So we'll see what opportunities come up and stuff, but at this point my goal is not to have 1 million subscribers and do all this stuff. Like, it's just not, it's a lot of responsibility. I don't think people watching necessarily realize it, but there's a lot of, you put out a tweet or something and, people take it as something or make financial decisions based on something that you say. Like, there's a lot of stress associated with that. So, as fun as it was to be able to, as fun as it is to be able to have a following and, I appreciate everyone that supports me. It's like, it's almost like it was also fun when I only had 5 people that followed me, and then I could tweet out something and no one gave a crap, and it was just like perfect. Like I'm not ruining anyone's day, or I'm not costing anyone money, and so yeah.
I mean, part of the reason I do it is, or I guess most of it is just, you know, for that animal welfare where, you know, eventually if I keep grinding and VeVe eventually does marketing, probably in the next 6 months, give or take, you know, I help give people good information, and I can help people make money, even though it's not financial advice, just presenting information and giving thoughts in a way, oh, hey, I didn't think of that. That's a really good point. That's a good idea. Like, I talked someone off the ledge the other day. They had like 10 million OMI. It wasn't a bunch. I was like, listen, I have so many. If I had more money, I would buy more right now. I'd do, you know, X, Y, and Z. Like, I sent them a message, which I don't know if I can. I can't show it here, but it's. I will be advising another will group in the next couple of weeks. What do you think I'm going to tell them? Like, to not buy OMI? Like guys, like, come on. So if I can continue to do this and get, you know, help make people money, and then say like, hey, now I'm doing this, now I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Eventually, when I have 20 or 50 or maybe even 100,000 subscribers, like, all right, guys, time to pony up. You know, animal welfare, let's go. Donation, you know, here's like a link to donations and stuff like that. And then I think that will be a lot. That will benefit. You know, like, I don't make a ton of money with this now, but I think at some point it will pay off where I can, and it'll go straight to animal conservation. So I think that's really good.
No, I think that's awesome, man. And, you know, shout out to everyone in the community that supported, you know, Randy's journey and my journey. You know, Randy and I were sitting last night at the bar, and we were looking up YouTube stats just for fun, and, you know, he's made 1,800 videos.
It's so wild.
And I don't think people realize, like, I've made 66. And
you're just as big as me. Like,
and I have almost as many subscribers as he does. And it just, like, if people really realize, like, the grind and hustle that Randy puts in to, like I respect the hell out of him, man. Like, people don't realize, like, how much of a difference he's making in the community. And, like, you will eventually. Like, I'll just kind of leave it at that. Like, it's not my place to say, but, like, you guys will see. And, you know, we all owe Randy a big thanks for the stuff that he's doing that, you know, he may never get credit for openly, and people may never mention it or recognize it. But for those of you that do know, like, you know, it's just awesome to see, like, a genuinely good person out there just, like, trying to look out for the community and grow it to what it is. So, like,
and shout out to everyone else that does it too. I mean, you know, they each have their own part. Like, there's people call, you know, like, the old school people, like, the golden age YouTubers, and then you have people could be in, like, the silver age, and now I think there's, like, a bronze. There's, like, a new age coming in. You have you know, other YouTubers that are coming in right now.
And it's fantastic.
Keeping it alive.
I actually love to see it. Like, I love to see all of the new content creators coming in, and I think everyone kind of, like you said, brings something to the table and fills a void and you know, creates value for everyone in the community. And we're going to need more and more people that are doing that as the community continues to grow. I think similarly to how we used the example earlier with organizations bettering one another, I think that all the content creators challenge one another to make better content and to you know, research harder and come up with more valuable information that just really is going to help everyone that's taking it in at the end of the day. So, you know, I don't have anything negative to say about anyone that makes content. I think anyone that makes content is bringing value to the community. I haven't seen anyone's content specifically where, based on their content, I've been concerned about them hurting the community. Yeah, there's clickbait titles. Yeah, there's people that I maybe don't get along with on a personal level or whatever, but I think everyone has something that they offer. And so, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're, you know, and this is hard to say, you could be, this is really hard to say. Okay, so there's a episode of Scrubs where Dr. Cox is talking to Elliot about about another doctor being like a mentor, and Elliot's like, I don't like this person as a mentor. Like, this person's, you know, mean to, like, other people. I think it might have been Dr. Kelso, or it might have been whoever, and got those love chats in there, those adult dating websites. Just ignore those guys. And Dr. Cox says, do you think I'm an okay teacher to, let's say, like JD? She's like, yeah, I guess. Like, well, let me tell you, like, I do X, Y, and Z at night. He's like, I am an alcoholic. Sometimes I cross-dress. She's like, really? No, I don't cross-dress. But even if I did, it wouldn't affect the type of teacher that I am. So if somebody, like, let's say, I don't know, like, I'm pretty weird. I don't want to say, let's say Taps. Like, I love Taps. We all love Taps. Let's say Taps is just really weird in his, like, free time. Let's say he does some really weird stuff, which he doesn't, I don't think. That doesn't affect the information that's coming out of him is still very good. So I think if you have people that maybe are not doing maybe what should be done in real life or online, but they still contribute to the community and they still do that, I can recognize the props to that particular person that is doing good for the community, and then choosing to ignore the bad stuff that they're doing and not give them props to that. Like, you can give props to one thing and not the other.
Well, that's it. And someone could provide something that's valuable, but that doesn't make them a good person, right? Or doesn't make them a bad person or whatever. So, no, I agree. So, is the fact that I make some of my content with a mask on sometimes, like, do you think that that's valuable? Like, do you think that like, is good or not good?
You know what, Brock? Foster, I'm a very big proponent of freedom of information. And I think that, but also freedom of choice. And if you want to choose to wear a mask, then you can 100% wear a mask. Also, Jake, you said, Randy, are there any animal organizations involved with? Best Friends Animal Society is probably the best one right now.
Nice.
So yeah, freedom of choice and freedom to do what you want, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone. Please don't hurt other people. One last thing I'll say is that you have people that, again, Foster said nothing but good things about me, probably because I'm right here and I threatened him with violence. No,
he's got bigger muscles than me, guys. Help!
I wish we had wish we visited like a certain store, like a whip over here,
a lightsaber or something.
You're mostly going to see also successful people try to build others up because they want more people on their level. People want people on their level. If you're successful, they'll try to help you up.
Yeah.
If they're not successful and they're not doing well in life, they're going to try to bring you down to their level. So, if you're, there's a difference between healthy criticism and hate. And I love you guys all. You guys are the best. Anything else to add?
No. You know what? Thanks, guys, for the support, for hanging out with us on a Saturday night. Appreciate you all. We're gonna go out. We're going out to Rooftop Bars NYC. So if you guys want to come check us out on 230 Fifth Avenue, that's where we'll be. If you guys want to come hang out with us, we'll be getting a couple chocolate milks and hanging out there and having a good time.
Alcoholic chocolate milks? All right, guys. Everyone, please comment, like, and subscribe. Comment's good for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Mike, for hanging out there.
Yeah.
For
the background producer. It's okay. You need research on here.
All right, now time for the real stuff. We're gonna start that OnlyFans video
Let's do it.
before we go out. All right, goodbye, guys. Ooh, I love you. Meow, meow, meow. Like the super chats. Meow, meow, meow.